The wind whispered through the Appalachian pines, sharp and cold like a knife's edge. Cole Travis stood still, one knee pressed into the mossy earth, eyes scanning the ridgeline. Deer tracks fresh. The kind of trail you didn't see unless you knew how to look. But the woods felt off. Too quiet. Then, a sound, wrong for these parts. A high-pitched hum that pulsed in the air like a tuning fork lodged in bone. Cole turned his head toward the sky just as it ripped open with a streak of violet fire. The object, black, angular, not built by any human hand, punched through the cloud layer and vanished behind the tree line with a bone-deep whump. He didn't hesitate. Sliding his scoped rifle onto his back, Cole moved fast but low, boots silent on the damp forest floor. He knew this land like blood knew veins. Whatever had fallen, it wasn't friendly, and it damn sure wasn't alone. 15 minutes later, he crouched behind a log, peering into the clearing where the pod had landed. Steam hissed from scorched earth. Pine needles sizzled. The pod's hull glowed with heat, its sleek black armor marked with glyphs, alien, but military in tone. The hatch burst open. 3 figures stepped out. They weren't human. Tall, armored, moving with a coiled precision. One scanned the perimeter, another deployed a small hovering drone, and the third carried a plasma weapon with a design too elegant for any Earth-born kill tool. Cole's hand moved slowly to the grip of his combat knife. "Sector clear," one of them said in heavily accented English. A translator implant, Cole guessed. The tallest one barked. "Locate the target. Green flesh, 2 eyes, 30 rotations old, primitive but lethal. Bring him back breathing. Bounty's triple if he's alive." Cole's eyes narrowed. They were here for someone. Someone dangerous. Then it hit him. They were talking about him. His hands flexed. Every instinct from 30 years in combat lit up inside him. They knew something. That mission, the one that never made the reports. The world he'd escaped. The tech he'd buried. The reason he went off-grid in the first place. And now, the galaxy had come knocking. He slipped away from the clearing, silent as shadow, heart steady. His cabin was 4 clicks north, packed with enough old gear to fight a small war. But he couldn't risk leading them there. No. He'd start the war right here. Cole found the ridge above the clearing and positioned himself between 2 gnarled trees. His breath misted in the cold air. He drew the composite bow he'd built from carbon limbs and steel cabling. Modern, silent, deadly. He notched an arrow tipped with a hardened tungsten head. Breathed in. Exhaled. And released. The arrow hit the drone mid-hover with a spark and sizzle, dropping it in a mess of sparks. "What the?" The nearest alien snapped, swinging his plasma rifle upward. Too slow. Cole's second shot punched through the alien's throat joint, where the armor split for neck mobility. It didn't make a sound, just dropped like a sack of meat. The remaining 2 fanned out, searching. Cole was already gone. He looped around the ridge, flanked them hard. Tossed a small metal canister down the slope. It clattered, deliberately loud. "Movement! East Ridge!" Both hunters turned toward the noise. Cole lunged from the opposite side and drove his blade into the gap beneath one's armplate. The alien gurgled, clawing at his faceplate as Cole dragged him down, and ended it fast. The third spun, finally catching on. He fired. The plasma blast scorched the tree bark a foot from Cole's face. Cole rolled behind a boulder, yanked a smoke grenade from his belt, yanked the pin with his teeth, and lobbed it. Smoke flooded the clearing. Silhouettes danced. A wrong move. The alien walked into the kill zone blind. Cole rose from the haze behind him. "Bad day to visit Earth," he muttered and cracked the alien's spine with a precise strike to the neck. 3 down. He moved quickly, stripping the largest of its comms gear. A wrist-mounted interface flickered to life, glowing with alien script. Cole toggled through menus, guessing at the meaning. He found what he needed. Open frequency logs. The bounty was real. Galactic-wide alert. Human male. Ex-Green Beret. Located, Earth, Appalachian region. Last known mission, planet LV-913. Warning: target is survival trained, armed, considered dangerous. Preferred status: alive for interrogation. Subtext: avoid provoking unnecessarily. Too late for that. Cole tapped the device, accessing coordinates. There was a ship in orbit, big, armed, waiting. "You're not gonna like what happens next," Cole muttered, sliding the device into his rucksack. Then he paused, staring out into the darkened forest. Because he knew what came next. They wouldn't stop. And neither would he. Cole Travis moved through the forest like a ghost, the alien comm unit strapped to his forearm pulsing with a dim blue light. His breaths were measured. Controlled. One mistake, and the next team wouldn't be scouts, they'd bring fire from orbit. He needed intel, leverage, and time. Time was in short supply. The interface crackled again, cycling through frequencies in a distorted language, half-audible clicks, guttural tones, and alien phonemes. He tapped at the controls, experimenting with the layout, learning its rhythm through trial and combat-trained intuition. Then he heard it. Target terminated. Unit Sigma 3 offline. Coordinates last pinged, Eastern Continental Zone, Earth Class 3. A pause. Deploy Heavy Retrieval Squad. Priority elevated. Notify Vorik. That name hit like a bullet. Vorik the Fong. Cole had heard of him in the Black Ops rumor mill. A ghost story among contractors and mercenaries. Galactic Bounty Hunter. Ruthless. Precise. Never failed a job. Cole tightened the strap of the device and kept moving. He didn't have a fortress. No base. No army. Just traps, a handful of weapons, and a lifetime of not dying when others should have. By the time the second sun, or rather, Earth's only sun, crested over the ridgeline, Cole had reached the old ranger's tower. Abandoned, half-rotted, and leaning against the wind like a drunk clinging to a lamppost, but high ground was high ground. He climbed silently, floorboards groaning under his boots as he pulled out the alien's plasma sidearm, examining it under the dusty glass dome. Small, sleek, and bone-white with a trigger built for 3 fingers. Elegant, sure, but too smooth. Too clean. No room for dirt, blood, or the chaos of combat. These hunters hadn't designed it for survival. They built it for controlled executions. Cole set it down. He preferred the weight of steel and gunpowder. He watched the sky, waiting for the shimmer of a drop pod. Instead, he got a flash of motion, something skimming the treetops. A small ship. Recon class. Scouting the zone. He raised his rifle, tracking it, but didn't shoot. Too risky. One hit would bring them down in force. Instead, he climbed back down and headed toward the caves by the riverbed, his fallback. Halfway there, movement stopped him cold. A figure stood in the path. Not armored. Not a bounty hunter. Thin frame. Cloak of something iridescent draped over its shoulders. Long fingers, 3 on each hand. Skin like wet stone. Alien. Unarmed. And not scared. Human, it said. Voice soft, layered in echo, as if coming from both mouth and memory. I am Drin. I came to warn you. Cole didn't lower his rifle. Keep talking. They think you carry knowledge from the forbidden world. They believe you touched relics. That makes you a threat. They won't stop until your mind is drained and your bones catalogued. That's one hell of a greeting, Cole said, circling to keep cover between them. You one of them? I was. Not anymore. I defected when I learned what they did to survivors. When I saw what they turned into. Cole's eyes narrowed. So why risk coming to me? Drin gestured with a hand. Because you're not what they say. You survived. You didn't become what the others did. You didn't spread it. They think I'm infected? No. Worse. They think you adapted. Cole's jaw clenched. That planet, LV-913, had nearly killed him. No team made it out except him. The tech they'd stumbled on. It hadn't just been alien. It had been ancient. Living. Why are you helping me? Drin's eyes shimmered. Because I saw what they did to the last survivor. I heard him scream for 4 days. I couldn't stop it then. Maybe I can now. Cole lowered the rifle an inch. You got a ship? I had. They shot it down. Figures. A sudden chirp burst from the comm on Cole's wrist. Ping confirmed. Coordinates locked. Heavy unit en route. ETA, 12 minutes. Cole snapped it off and looked to Drin. You're leading them here? Drin shook his head. No. They've been scanning the region for any alien signals. That comm is a beacon. Then we move. Now. They sprinted. Cole's legs burned as he led Drin down an overgrown ravine, past a dried-up creek bed, to a fallen radio tower half submerged in the earth. He dropped to one knee, flipped a latch, and yanked open a rusted hatch. My hideout, he muttered. Drin dropped in first. Cole followed, sealing it above them. Inside was tight, one cot, shelves stacked with rations, a solar-charged carbine, and bundles of claymore mines. He tossed one to Drin. You ever set one of these? I read about them. Welcome to practical learning. Outside, the whine of engines grew louder. The ground trembled. They're dropping in armor, Cole said. Not scouts this time. They're serious. He tapped a switch. A monitor flickered on, fed by an old trail cam. A ship was landing in the clearing above. It was twice the size of the scout pod, bristling with weapons. A loading ramp slammed down. 6 armored bounty hunters disembarked. Drin whispered. They brought the Skullborn. Sounds friendly. Cole muttered, arming the first mine. Let's see how they like Earth's welcome mat. They climbed out, moved quickly. Cole positioned claymores in a jagged crescent around the base of the hill, marked the det points in his head, and handed Drin a remote. When I signal, press it. Drin nodded, tense. They watched from the trees as the hunters split into 2 columns, advancing down the ravine. Cole waited. Waited. Then. Now. Drin hit the switch. The forest erupted. Claymores roared like thunder, shredding brush, bark, and everything in between. 2 hunters went down instantly. Another staggered, armor scorched. Plasma fire erupted blindly into the trees. Cole picked off a 4th with a rifle shot through the visor. The rest retreated. And just like that, the message was sent. Earth wasn't defenseless. And Cole Travis was far from done. Smoke still hung in the air like a second fog, thick with the scent of scorched metal and torn earth. Cole crouched beside a charred tree trunk, watching the remaining bounty hunters limp back toward their ship. 2 injured, 1 dead, 1 missing. The other 2 were dragging their wounded like it was just another mission. But their pace had changed. They weren't hunting anymore, they were regrouping. Drin crouched beside him, voice low. They won't fall for the same trick twice. They don't need to, Cole replied. Next time they'll send machines. Machines don't hesitate. They don't bleed. And you'll fight them the same? No. Machines need chaos. Something they can't program for. He stood and pulled the alien wristcom from his belt. He'd been silent on it for hours, letting it feed false coordinates to any AI tracking it. But now, it was time to stir the nest. He tapped a sequence. The device blinked red. What are you doing? Drin asked. Luring them in. You just told them where we are. No. I told them where I want them to go. Cole uploaded a beacon signal to a ravine 5 miles southeast, narrow, rocky terrain with poor line of sight and a natural echo chamber that made tracking heat signatures almost useless. It was also laced with deep mud and crumbling ledges. A death trap for anything relying on weight and sensors. You'll be there waiting? No, Cole said. They'll be fighting shadows. I'll be here, cutting off their retreat. The plan wasn't just about killing. It was about breaking rhythm, forcing mistakes. They expected brute force. He'd give them misdirection, fear, uncertainty. It wasn't just tactics. It was psychological warfare. The kind you didn't learn in academies. The kind you learn crawling through jungles while being hunted by people who smelled blood from miles away. They moved fast. Cole led them deeper into the woods, to a cliffside tunnel carved decades ago as part of an abandoned mining project. He'd sealed it years ago. Now, he pried open the old grate and cleared the debris. "Why bring us here?" Drin asked. Cole handed him a length of fiber wire. "Because this place speaks. It echoes. You light a fire here, and they'll think there's 20 of us." They set traps, not explosive, but confusing. Crisscross lines. Dummy motion signals. Reflective surfaces. An old military trick, make the enemy see what isn't there. The deeper they went, the more layered the deception became. Outside, the sky darkened. Clouds rolled in low, heavy with rain. Perfect. Then the comm device pulsed. Recon unit deployed. Primary targets, location confirmed. Insertion begins in T-2 minutes. Cole didn't smile. He just exhaled slowly. "They're coming." Drin looked up. "I hear something." Cole did too. A low whir, like a nest of hornets with a pulse engine. Drones. He motioned for silence, and they backed into the tunnel mouth, weapons ready. The drones passed overhead in a tight swarm, oval-bodied, insected, scanning with pale green lights. They hovered, then split. "They're mapping the zone," Cole whispered, "and relaying everything back. Which is why we don't let them return." He stepped out, rifle raised, and fired. The shot clipped the closest drone, sending it tumbling. The others turned, lights flaring. But Cole was already gone, back in the brush. They chased, buzzing low. A trap was waiting. As the drones crossed the tripwire, a set of weighted nets burst from the trees, entangling the lead swarm and dragging them to the forest floor. Cole fired again, 2 more fell. Drin lobbed a scavenged shock grenade into the tangled mass. It popped. Sparks danced. Silence returned. Cole retrieved one of the cracked drone cores and opened its data module. He connected it to the wrist unit and watched the feed. "They've lost visual. Swarms offline. But more are coming." "How many?" Cole looked at the screen. His voice dropped. "All of them." He turned toward the west, where the coordinates he had sent were now blinking with incoming heat signatures. Dozens of them. Drop units, exosuits, mechs. They took the bait. "Time to move," he said. "But we've only delayed them," Drin argued. "I'm not looking to stop them yet. Just teach them the rules of the game." The rain began, slow at first, then heavy, beating the leaves into submission. Cole pulled his hood tight. They moved north toward a ridgeline that offered cover and elevation. From there, he watched the invaders pour into the ravine. Metal slammed into stone. The mechs, 7 feet tall, multi-limbed, gleamed with moisture. Each footstep left deep impressions in the mud. They advanced in formation, flawless, systematic. Cole turned to Drin. "Watch what happens when you rely on algorithms in a place designed by chaos." He pulled a small control panel from his belt, the kind that looked like it belonged to a 20th century garage door opener. One button. He pressed it. The ridgeline beneath the mech trembled. Then, the rocks fell. Not explosives, just timed pressure points. Weak stone, loosened by earlier digging. The mech staggered as the ground beneath them collapsed into the riverbed. Mud swallowed 2 whole. Another clutched at the slope, only to be dragged down by its own weight. Cole watched it all unfold with cold precision. "They thought they were the predators," he said. "But they stepped into the wrong jungle." Drin said nothing. He just stared, quiet. Maybe in awe. Maybe in fear. A sudden alert flashed across the alien wrist device. "Incoming communication, Vorik, Commander rank." Cole tapped it open. Vorik's voice crackled through, a low, guttural tone wrapped in control. "Human. Your defiance is noted. You have slain 5 of mine. Damaged 6 more. You delay nothing. You only multiply your pain. Surrender. You will not get another offer." Cole stared at the device for a long second. Then he clicked the transmitter and answered. Vorik. I've fought warlords, insurgents, mercs, and monsters. You're just another guy with toys. A pause. Come find me. He crushed the device under his boot. The sun didn't rise the next morning, it bled. Red slashed the horizon as though the sky itself had been wounded. Cole stood at the edge of the cliff, rain-slick rifle in his hands, eyes fixed on the massive dark shape descending from orbit. No longer drones. No more elite units. Vorik was coming down himself. A personal landing. That was new. He's angry, Drin said quietly behind him. Good, Cole replied, tightening the strap on his vest. Let him come. Vorik's dropship didn't screech like the others. It moved with unsettling calm, displacing the air as it hovered over the ravaged forest floor. The trees bent away. Leaves scattered in slow motion, spinning in the turbulence. The ramp opened, hissing like a beast inhaling before the kill. Vorik stepped out alone. He was tall, nearly 7 feet, but not bulky. His armor was lean, molded to his form like a second skin, patterned in crimson and obsidian. A long blade hung across his back. Plasma flared at his wrists. And his helmet, matte black with a red vertical slit, glowed faintly like an ember ready to burst. He didn't speak. Didn't scan. Didn't hesitate. He simply walked into the woods as if he owned them. Is he insane? Drin whispered. No, Cole muttered. He's a closer. They'd sent tech. Sent troops. Sent machines. And every one had failed. Now Vorik had come to end it himself, not out of pride, but protocol. When bounty missions went long and messy, elite commanders cleaned them up. Cole turned to Drin. We split up. You take the high trail. If I don't make it back. You will, Drin said, unexpectedly firm. Cole offered a nod. Then listen for thunder. He moved through the trees, low and fast, letting instinct take over. He knew the forest in his bones, every ridge, root, and shadow. Vorik was headed toward the old quarry, a wide-open basin perfect for an ambush. Too perfect. Which is exactly why Cole didn't wait there. Instead, he circled behind. 20 minutes later, he spotted movement. Vorik stood still at the center of the basin, head tilted as if listening. Cole stayed hidden, lying flat on a rocky ledge above, watching. Vorik raised his head. You've delayed this long enough, human, he said, voice amplified through his helmet. I've studied your record. Green Beret. Dozens of Black Ops. You outlived 3 units. 1 by accident. 2 by sacrifice. You survived, Travis. That's your skill. But today, I erase you. Cole didn't answer. He moved silently across the ledge until he reached the overlook above a narrow rock chute. He pulled a compact EMP charge from his belt, jury-rigged from the scout drone's remains, and armed it. He waited. Vorik took 2 more steps forward. Then stopped. I can smell your breath, he said calmly. Cole cursed under his breath and rolled left as a plasma bolt shredded the ledge beside him. He dropped behind cover and flung the EMP down the slope. It exploded in a burst of pale blue light. Vorik staggered as his suit flickered. Cole vaulted from the ridge and charged. By the time Vorik's systems rebooted, Cole was airborne, boots slamming into the alien's chest. They crashed hard into the dirt. Cole landed first, rolled, came up with his blade drawn. Vorik was already on his feet, pulling the sword from his back. Steel met alien alloy. The clash rang across the basin. Vorik's strikes were precise, too precise. He fought like a machine, always calculating, always centered. But Cole didn't fight for points. He fought dirty. He kicked sand into Vorik's faceplate and swung for the knee. The blade sparked off armor but bit deep enough to make Vorik stumble. Cole lunged, but Vorik spun, slammed a fist into Cole's ribs, and knocked him back. Pain shot through Cole's chest. He tasted copper. Broken rib, maybe too. Sloppy, Vorik muttered. You'll bleed like the rest, Cole growled. Vorik charged, blade high. Cole threw a flash charge. It went off inches from Vorik's face. The alien flinched, barely, but enough. Cole grabbed a shard of fractured stone and drove it into the joint under Vorik's left arm. The armor cracked. Vorik roared, swept Cole's legs, and pinned him with a knee to the chest. "You're persistent," he snarled. "But all species break." He raised the sword. Then a burst of green energy slammed into him from the treeline. Vorik stumbled. Cole looked up to see Drin, holding a scavenged plasma rifle, chest heaving. "I don't like speeches," the alien said. Cole took the moment. He shoved a pulse knife from his boot into Vorik's exposed armpit and twisted. Vorik howled. Cole kicked him off and rolled to his feet. He reached for his rifle, but Vorik was already staggering backward, wounded, but not finished. He turned toward his dropship, bleeding from his side. "Not done," Cole said, raising the gun. Vorik's ship flared to life and began to lift, its auto-retrieval programming kicking in. He leapt onto the ramp as it ascended. Cowardice? No. Strategy. Cole didn't shoot. He let him go. Drin approached slowly. "Why spare him?" "Because the galaxy needs to know," Cole said, eyes locked on the ship rising into the clouds. "Earth isn't prey. And I'm not done fighting." The ship disappeared into the sky, leaving smoke and silence. And Cole standing in the forest. Still breathing. Still dangerous. Cole stared at the empty sky long after Vorik's ship disappeared into the cloud line. The forest around him had gone still again, but not with peace, only silence. The kind of silence that follows a warning shot. He turned and limped toward the stream where his rifle had fallen. His ribs screamed with every breath. Blood dripped from a gash at his temple, half dried into the lines of his face. But he was upright, armed, and, most importantly, alive. Drin caught up a few steps behind, slower now, favoring one leg. "Are they gone for good?" the alien asked. Cole didn't look back. "No. Vorik's the kind of bastard who files a report before he licks his wounds. Then they'll return. Worse. They'll escalate." He dropped to one knee by the stream and splashed water on his face. The cold bit like glass, but it cleared his mind. That fight hadn't been a victory. It had been a message. Cole had spoken fluently in the only language the galaxy understood, resistance. Drin knelt beside him. "You can't stay here." "No," Cole said. "But I'm not running." He pulled the alien comm from his pouch, burned, cracked, but still blinking with a dim signal. With a few precise presses, he brought up the internal network. Coordinates. Logs. Orbiting vessels. One caught his eye. A listening satellite. Galactic Council protocol. Always silent. Always recording. Cole grinned slightly. "You ever leak classified data before?" Drin tilted his head. "Not intentionally. First time for everything." Cole jacked the comm into his backup transmitter, an old piece of military tech he'd gutted and rewired for a contingency he never thought would come. He synced it to the Council's listening satellite and selected a file buried in the wrist unit's drive. LV-913 mission debrief. Video feed. Corrupted fragments, but enough. His squad entering a structure older than recorded galactic history. Symbols glowing without power. And then, darkness. Movement. The sound of men screaming before the feed cut. No tech failure. That was a forced wipe. And someone had buried it. "They classified this," Cole said. "They blamed the deaths on atmospheric instability. But it wasn't weather. It was something else. Something they didn't want spreading." Drin studied the feed, eyes narrowed. "This is why they want you erased." Cole nodded. "I wasn't infected. I wasn't enhanced. I was just lucky. I ran before that thing reached me. But I saw it. And that alone made me dangerous." He hit transmit. A red light blinked. The data bounced from satellite to satellite, slow, methodical. In a few days, maybe hours, half the sector would know the truth. "You just made enemies with the Council," Drin said. I think they started it. A sharp tone buzzed from the device. New message. Uncoded. Cole played it. A familiar voice, American, clipped, controlled. Master Sergeant Travis. This is Langley Black Cell Command. We've been monitoring the transmission. You've stirred up a hornet's nest, son. You're not off the grid anymore. We're en route. ETA 36 hours. Prepare for evac. You're coming in. Cole stared at the trees, wind moving gently now, brushing leaves as if nothing had happened here. You gonna go with them? Drin asked. Cole was quiet for a moment. Then, no. Not yet. If they want me back, they'll come. But I'm not done. Drin frowned. What else is left? Cole picked up his rifle, eyes sharp again. Preparation. He wasn't just a hunted man anymore. He was a symbol, a human who stood against galactic forces and didn't kneel. And now others might follow. Resistance, after all, was contagious. But resistance needed structure. Allies. Teeth. Back in the bunker, Cole retrieved a second transmitter, encrypted, cold for years. He flipped the switch. Travis to Widow Echo. Code word Gravelhawk. I'm alive. Coordinates attached. Bring the package. Bring everything. A pause. Then static cleared. Copy that. You're not forgotten, Travis. We're coming. Drin stared. Who's Echo? Old ghosts. Black Ops. Off book. They owe me favors. You're building an army? Cole shook his head. Not an army. A deterrent. Another alert blinked across the damaged alien comm, broadcasts from outer sectors, fragmented but alarming. Other planets. Other hunts. More bounties being placed, on humans. Not just him. This was never about me, Cole murmured. They're afraid of what we might become. Drin nodded. They should be. Outside, the forest moved again, but this time with purpose. Cole's traps were resetting. His sensors were rearming. Drones scouted the perimeter. The fight wasn't over. It had just evolved. Vorik would be back. So would others. But the next time they came to Earth, they wouldn't be hunting a single man. They'd be walking into a war. Cole stood at the edge of the tree line as the storm broke again, rain washing the blood from his skin. You wanted Earth's most wanted, he said aloud. Now come find me. And he vanished into the trees.